Hello, this is Women's Virtue. It's Friday, December 11th, 2020. The topic today is why Christians should not masturbate. And we're going to go over men and women both. And really, nobody should masturbate. It's just not, it's not great for the body. So we're going to start with men. First of all, in the Ten Commandments, if one is to have no other gods before me, the seventh is to not commit adultery, and the 10th is to not covet. Jesus took things even further. He said that if somebody commits adultery in their heart, he sees them as an adulterer. So in the Old Testament, you had to do it. Jesus said, no, I'm raising the standards. So even the things that you think about or focus on, I count against you. So let's look at what happens when a man masturbates. And we're also going to touch on Viagra because that's a really interesting topic as well. When a man's masturbating, his mind is usually thinking about a woman or a situation, or he's viewing pornography. Pornography is pagan, satanic sex rituals, and it lets demons into you. So there's a spiritual reason to not look at that. Fantasy is going to be lusting. So if a man is single, he's committing fornication of his spirit, and that's how God and Jesus sees him. And if he's married and masturbating, he's committing adultery if he's thinking about other people. But even if see people say, what if I do that and I'm thinking about my wife? You know what? I'm going to give you a bunch of reasons to not do it. First of all, the Bible's all about what is true. And so in that moment, you are not with your wife. And there's many reasons to not masturbate in addition to the spiritual ones. When a man masturbates, unfortunately, because pornography is so available and coming into people's homes and demonizing and defiling so much, kids are looking at them at a young age. I know people who are exposed at a very young age and they still remember, even though they only saw it for a few seconds, it impacted them. So when a man's masturbating, you have a man's hand on his own penis, and that's it's a friction that doesn't fit with what the vaginal friction is. So from a young age, he's neurologically programming himself to work himself up mentally with what he's thinking about, and then physically his penis is being exposed to a male hand and a male grip, which is higher friction than what the natural vaginal friction would be. So what can happen with these men is it can be, first of all, it can be very addictive for men. There's certain vitamins that are released during that. So if that happens compulsively, you can actually get sick. But the sad part is that it's almost like he's become comfortable with, it's almost like it's a sodomite or a homosexual experience because it's a man stimulating a man. So when men then become intimate with a woman or get married, they can have difficulty actually ejaculating in their wife because they've been neurologically programmed to respond to a man's hand, not the softness of a woman's vagina. Now, had a man not masturbated at all, his neurological system and nerve responses would be the vagina would be plenty for him to experience sexual satisfaction. And so it's very confusing for the woman because now she feels like something's wrong with her. And actually, I know of a couple where the husband used so much pornography and masturbation that in I think his 25 or 30 years of marriage, he's unable to ejaculate in his wife, and their children were born through him watching pornography, her providing oral sodomy, and at the last minute, but they've never consummated. So it kind of messes things up, and then you have this and so then the woman starts feeling like there's something wrong with her. And the other thing that can happen is if a man has been so into pornography, and I guess you could say very impure thoughts. Now the Bible in Hebrews commands people to keep the marriage bed pure. it's like Satan wants to destroy your marriage. Satan wants to destroy your family. And pornography and sexual deviancy is like a key that's one of probably his favorite things to do. And so when when a man is into pornography, he also can have an autopilot where he's just in it for gratification. And I remember this woman told me she had, in her culture, she was supposed to stay a virgin, but the guys did other things and she was nervous for her wedding night, and it was horrible. She said it was just like autopilot for him. It was just so gross for her, and she was still married to him and she had multiple kids, but it wasn't, they weren't on the same level of purity, and it was just something he did that he had done thousands of times before, and there was nothing loving and nothing caring. And so it's like pornography poisons, it poisons relationships. It's really it, and I mean, some of it you can, there's so many horrible things that people can look up. It's almost, it can almost cross over into human sacrifice. It's so disgusting. So if you are somebody who's been masturbating or looking at pornography, you have to go cold turkey. You have to stop everything. No masturbation, no pornography. Pornography should be gone forever. Masturbation gone forever. And it will take maybe like about 60 to 90 days. And your system will resensitize. But you got to just knock it off. Just knock it off. And so we have the spiritual component with men. We have the physical component that it reprograms them. Can also cause, some people men get yeast infections or other infections from doing that. But I really think that the the way that it harms your ability to relate to a woman is enough. For women do that, and the same thing can happen to them. They're doing it because they're lonely, or they're doing it because they're stressed, and then they're thinking about something else. And it's unfortunate, because then you have two people who really like each other and would like to connect, and then what can happen with the man is, if he's watched too many pornography films or is having issues with a woman, we have like 19, 20-year-old guys who are out there getting Viagra because they are having a hard time being intimate with women. We have women out there going and getting surgeries to make their vaginas tighter. And, it's just, I know of one woman where, she was taught that, oh, you're supposed to have all these, she fornicated. She didn't have great chemistry with the guy. She wasn't orgasming every time. She got sent to a center to evaluate if she was defective. So it's just, don't masturbate. There's no reason, there's no beneficial reason to do it. It completely undermines your ability to connect with another person. In reality, it reprograms your body, and in many ways it goes against God. And so I just encourage you to just say no to that. And if you're in a relationship where you're having some of these difficulties, oh, and the other thing is what men do, this is really bad. Because the man has gotten used to the friction of his own hand and his own grip, the man who's not getting satisfaction from the vagina because his programming's off, he will start pressuring for things like oral sodomy. He'll want to put his penis in the woman's mouth, or the penis in the woman's anus, or the penis, all these different, crazy things, because and it's confusing to her, because for women, feeling loved for who they are and being delighted in for who they are in a natural way is what feels comfortable to women. And so when they're being told there's something wrong with their vagina, and then they're being used, basically the man starts using them like a man would use another man's body, because the man conditioned himself to be used to a man's body. Thank you for listening to Women's Virtue.